Hey, I heard it was your birthday.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. Happy birthday.
Thanks, buddy. Once a year.
Yes, yes, celebration time.
Yeah, I gotta mention it. A lot of times my birthday, I'm just like, eh. But it's like, well, throw it out there.
Yeah.
What do you
And
what
you're, oh, go ahead. What?
oh, I was gonna say, what's your thoughts on birthdays? What's like the deep you know, the philosophical Damian Questiny view on the day of birth?
Well, most of the time for me, it's a time of reflection. It
Mm,
allows me the ability to look back on the year and kind of organize it in a way to look at the parts that I really enjoyed and also the parts that are still motivating and challenging me today. And so what I do is I like to break things out because I like to organize, right? I teach these things with people.
mm-hmm.
So I break it into what I call short term, medium term, and long term. And you'll find that language will play a critical role in your daily activity.
Uh-huh.
And so to the year, you'll look, like when you have a journal and things, you'll look at it and you'll say, okay, look at how my language has changed and look at the parts that my language is still the same. And this gives you the ability to understand, like, as far as your timeline is concerned and things that are still challenging to you, if you still have things going on in your life, it's a way to look at, your birthday is a way to kind of reflect and say, oh, okay, so I'm still participating, with this particular job that I did last year.
Mm.
So this is obviously playing a role in who I am in my profession, right? And so you can kind of organize things in those, in those kind of organizational structures if you wanted to. I kind of do that for my birthday. It's just, I just sit there and I think about it because I do a lot of meditating, and it's a way for kind of, clearing, cleaning, and also management, right? And for me, because I teach time travel, I share how, timeline management also is important, and birthdays is built in what? In time, right?
Yeah, right. So it's almost like a checkpoint, So if you're involved in, time traveling in the future, like you obviously know, like for me, my 32nd birthday is a point in time. So it's almost like a reference point that, I guess you can deal with as far as time travel goes. Am I
Yeah. Okay.
understanding?
You are okay. Let's actually break it down into something kind of more practical.
Okay.
So you know that I have a school. I teach Elemental Hypertech. I'm the founder of Elemental Hypertech and the world's first time travel game, right?
Yeah.
I'm the inventor of the first time travel game. So what you have is you have, like, when people come to want to utilize the services and things that I do, is there's two doors. There's health and wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And what you and I talked about last time, I think, was a lot more on the health aspects. But
Yeah.
let's look at now the wealth aspects.
Okay.
Birthdays play a role in your wealth. And how it works is like this. One of the first things that I like to do, people who want to go into wealth, which is like the external world, where health is like the internal world. Okay. So now both are important, but we're going to specifically focus on the wealth aspects.
Okay.
And with birthdays, because you brought this up. So what I would like to suggest is that people pull what's called their star chart or their birth chart. It's also called a natal chart. And what this is what I consider to be the blueprint of, your foundations. These were all the influences, all the skills, all the talents that you were given at the moment of your birth, your birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So, and how you do that is you find out where the planets were in which zodiac house at the moment of your birth. Now, I know these topics kind of sound, now we're getting into the cult stuff and we're getting into these kind of ideas. But what I'm trying to suggest is that you actually are built in harmony with the world around you. This is your relationship with the world. There's harmony built there. And now you can use these as weapons, as, skills, refining, defining things, and what happens is that by knowing where the planets were, you actually kind of have an understanding of what kind of person you are. Okay. Like there's like different aspects, but not to get too, deep on it, but there's like mutable signs, there's fixed signs, and there's cardinal signs. And each one of these think of them like flavors or colors. And you can harmonize with these or be in conflict with these. And these themes will be available in your life no matter what you do. This is just part of the program. Like you can't, this is your personality and character, in other words, how you're seen by others and how, what motivates and inspires you. That's why the star chart is important. Okay. So by pulling that information, what happened, your birthday, where you were born, what time you were born, okay, and the location of where you were born, these things are very important because it'll say exactly where the planets were. Now, this is your blueprint. This is your birthday that says this is who you are. Now, what you do with that information now through the wealth process, through Elemental Hypertech, which I'm talking about here, we can build a foundation, a structure for you to say, okay, these are the things that are easy, that come easy to you because these are the skills you were given, right? These things are working together on your level, specifically for you, because everybody's got their own fingerprint, right? So you can fine tune those and work with those to bring wealth to you from the external world because you're already in harmony with your blueprint. So those structures are the easier ones to build. And then what you do is the ones that you are in conflict with, you may find it resonates with you like, oh man, yeah, those things stress me out a lot. I don't know why those things stress me out. Like my partner, they can car and not have any road rage. But when I get behind the wheel, I got road rage. And then I look and I go, oh man, Mars and Scorpio. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. I got Mars. Mars is activity. So it's moving around a lot. So and then Mars may be in Neptune for your partner, and that's like calm and collective. So these are kind of skills that we have, and we can build upon them. Now, the things that are in conflict, you can do that. The things that are easy for you. Now, what's fun, where the time travel game comes in with birthdays, to bring it full circle here, is that with time travel, now you can by choice, by participation, by being a player in your own game of life, because this is the world's first time travel game, is a game you actually play in real life. So it's it can be very difficult, but there's a way to practice. And so this will give you that ability to actually move about in a manner where you are aiming your purpose. You are moving about and making choices based on specific goals that you want to reach within your game. And so your next birthday can be a mechanism to say, I want to reach these goals by this time.
Okay. Yeah. It's like it's a checkpoint. It's a time to look forward to. With your school teaching elemental hypertech, someone like me, we pull my natal chart. You actually help or assist someone go through, their strengths or their weaknesses, or you go through this process and get someone like me, understanding and set up to see those types of things to prepare for, my next birthday, 1 year from today. That'd be amazing to, we'll be doing a video, and then it'll be amazing to check back a year from now and do the, compare and contrast and see where we're at. But you kind of help set people off on that path.
Yeah, that's actually exactly it. And so what you're talking about right now is when you are a beginner, you can make these things very complex. So to keep it simple, if you wanted to, let's just keep wealth in here for a second. If you wanted to bring wealth, then yes, I would structure your star chart. Okay. If you were going into health, it would be a different process. Let me give you kind of a range here so you understand the difference. Yeah. If we were talking about health, then what I would do is I would want you to get in touch with your blood. I would have a blood panel drawn against you so that way you can find out what your allergies are and what food works best for you. And that also provides you with what I call biorhythm. And this is a daily chart which gives you 3 different rhythms that you find that work in different mechanisms, because there's time lengths for each one. There's an emotional, there's an intellectual, and there's a physical time marker, and each one of these has specific days associated to them. And they're like frequencies, and you can attune yourself through time. So that's the health process. So what we're talking about is the star chart process. Yes, what happens is I pull your star chart. I organize it in the manner in which you see on my channel, right, with the plates and the diagrams. So I organize it like a clock. So that way you can harmonize with these different aspects when certain things are in harmony for you. And you'll know this because every day you'll feel a little bit differently. And the more you understand how these things are working for you, these blueprints are working for you, and how your biorhythm is working, the more you kind of figure out, okay, this particular day is more, a day of reflection as opposed to activity, right? And you'll find out, you can work within these if you want to structure them to that degree. So the star chart builds you your foundation. It's where you just understand where your foundation is, okay? And then at that point, you can move through each different point and fine tune what it is you want to particularly work on. And now what happens is that we also build a business model for you on these things as well. At some point, you're going to want to put these into practice in the business world. It's because you want to make sure that these things are generating wealth, so to speak. Now, wealth doesn't necessarily mean financial wealth. Wealth could also mean knowledge. So I want to make that kind of clear as well, that there are different layers and different levels to it, if that answers the question.
Yeah, I want to be a student. So how does someone enroll into your school? How does someone begin learning this? What's the process of getting started?
They contact me. They can either email me or call me. And personally, I like to be one-on-one with people, but that doesn't work this day and age as well. So I do it over the internet a lot as well, or I do it through texting, or we talk back and forth, or email, whatever's convenient for the individual. Because see, here's the other aspect to it. Because it's a school, and it works to basically design a matrix, a system where you find yourself. This is the spoiler to the time travel game. The spoiler to the time travel game is you find your authenticity. You know thyself. And once you know thyself, is what the responsibility of the student in this case is now to share thyself. So you're no longer a student once you begin to share. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So not to give a spoiler, but that's kind of the goal. So when you say like you want to be a student, or other people want to become a student, understand that this system is built within relationships. So there's really no master or student system here. What there is a mentoring process that takes place. So the mentor is not going to take on a student unless the mentor is also learning something from that student, if that makes sense, in this process. Mm-hmm. So it's a different kind of school than what people are used to. Okay, so here's how it works. First thing when people come in is we decide which path you want to take first, health or wealth. And then we build an elemental process, working with the elements, because this is a foundation of like the four corners, the 4 points to triangulate also your position, right? It's like a target. What is your aim? What is your purpose? That's how we know. And then once you have that, then we get you a journal is really important to have, because you want to memorialize your journey. And let me share with you, this is one of this is like in the first class. The first class, I'll just give it to you here. It's like this. Memorialize your journey, because if you don't find that your life is important enough to share with others, then why, go mine gold, right? Go become wealthy in those aspects. But if you're using the Elemental Hypertech system, or if you're on that particular path, you're doing something different. You're creating something that is new and novel and unique, and those are very rare. That's a very rare path to be on. So all the system is designed to do is to bring you in harmony with those kind of ideas, your ideas, because everybody's different. So that's why I say get the journal, memorialize your journey, find what's important to you. Get behind those things, support those things that you find to be good in your life, because that's where you're going to shine brightest, and where other people on your journey is going to want to be a part of your process and what you got going on, right? You got a lot of good things going on. And so how you recognize that is, practice with it, put it out there, share it, be vulnerable too, like it's okay to fail. Most people I know don't actually fail, because they pick themselves back up again and they continue on. And that's what I admire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not really failure when, you don't stop. You just learn from it and you keep going. And yeah, you didn't really fail. You just, had a little learning lesson along the way and picked yourself up. One thing that you mentioned a couple times here is journaling. And that's actually come up this week. quite a bit for me, that writing things down. And someone taught me the concept that you don't write things down necessarily to remember them, but you write them down to clear that out of your mind. And by not writing things down about things, you know, constantly, and then, you know, his philosophy he mentioned to me was, yeah, write them down, and then your subconscious mind, you know, can release it, and you actually clear up the you know, the capacity within your mind.
I love that you brought that up. For me, one of the greatest techniques that I was taught, because I have mentors too, right? We all do. And one of the greatest techniques that I was taught is how to silence the mind, how to clear it, and to focus one channel, one point in consciousness, one focus. And when you remove the noise and all the ancillary things around you, you find more at peace with yourself as well. And that's kind of what enlightenment is. Enlightenment is finding, you know, peace around you. So yes, meditation, again, I can't stress that enough. That's what I think what you're discussing is, that, you know, it's a mechanism in order to really get in touch with your own thoughts, and not the thoughts that have been put into your head by other things around you. And that's what all that noise is. All that noise are all the different other frequencies that are vying for your attention, that say, hey, notice me, you know, give me your attention, behave this way, because, you know, all that static is going on. So when you meditate, you realize that you're actually moving into your thought pattern, your own fabric, your own technique of how you integrate with the world, because all that other stuff kind of starts dissipating in the meditation process. At least there's techniques for that.
I experienced that yesterday. I was going through some, I kind of felt grumpy, I guess you could say. I felt off. And so, yeah, I took some space, took some time, sat down with the timer, set the timer for 20 minutes. And for that first, you know, 20 minutes, I couldn't clear away the thoughts very well. And timer goes off. I'm like, whoa, that was quick. So I reset it again for another 20 minutes and was able to actually get into that very clear place. And just the difference by the time I was done, I mean, I was, you know, I busted out a couple videos. I was, you know, that feeling of grumpiness was gone. There was absolute power in taking, in this case, it took, you know, 40 minutes of my day to literally sit down and focus on my breath and clear my thoughts. And it's, yeah, I agree with you. What's your meditation process, if you don't mind sharing that? I mean, as far as your daily routine, you know, once a day, twice a day, 20 minutes. I mean, what's the process you go through to meditate?
Well, if I'm lucky, I can meditate a few hours a day, but really? I try to do at least twice a day, 20 minutes twice a day. That, you know, if I can find time to do that, I feel I'm very fortunate, very lucky, because that's just, it's a way I use it for cleaning. I use it for keeping, you know, mental stability and, you know, enjoyment in life and stuff. But I also do other types of meditation, because I'm an elemental individual, right? So I have a physical meditation that I do, and you've probably seen me make these crazy, you know, on my YouTube channel, I have, you know, me doing these crazy spins and stuff, and Tai Chi with racquetball and with basketball and with other sports. I do these. Yeah, I do these, and this is a form of meditation. This is I do Tai Chi in sports together, to take it, you know, just to take sports to a whole new level, to inspire other people. Because you know, one of the things I teach is time travel. So if you think about time travel, let's just assume that, you know, time travel exists. What kind of sports would they have in the future? When I talk about the holodeck, right? In these videos, you see me, you know, in the racquetball court, and I talk about this is a holodeck. Now, what you do in the meditation, and this is another aspect of meditation, is what I do is I imagine the walls. Since they're white, I can create anything I want on those walls. I can create indoor activity, outdoor. I can create a forest. I can create a labyrinth. I can create fighting extraterrestrials. I can, you know, whatever it is, you know, fighting, you know, whoever I could create in this, or, you know, or just simply sitting in meditation and just working like I'm in water or whatever. It doesn't have to be, you know, anything crazy, but I hold on to that meditation. I hold on to that environment inside of this room. And I move about the room as if I were moving through whatever I'm creating. So I'm walking down the hallways, I'm moving in different ways, and I'm watching my target and working within that. And I'm striking the target. So sometimes I'll use 2 rackets. So I can get in there and I'm using 2 rackets, and I'm doing that because maybe I'm doing a different style. So that's also a form of meditation. Breathing is one of my favorite types of meditation, the one that you're talking about, because I use that as a 3-part system. I call it the Merkaba. The Merkaba, and you keep rotating it, and you're going through each one. Merkaba, So yeah, and you just keep that mantra going well. Another one that you may have seen on my channel years ago, I posted one called the Sun Eater meditation. And this is another form of meditation that I thoroughly enjoy, where I open my mouth and you literally let the sun go into your mouth, and you give it your intention and your love and your respect and your reverence and your sincerity and your humility. You give all you possibly can and thank it for everything, gratitude, everything it's ever done for you, enlightened you, brought light to the world, and you're literally eating the rays of the sun. And then it's kind of weird because I know it sounds kind of gross, but the back of your throat, like a little thing will start forming in the back of your throat, like a little energy ball. I'm not even kidding. It's crazy. And you can swallow it, and you can literally feel it. Like when you do this enough, you can feel it kind of go through. It's like almost like planting a seed. So I don't recommend Sun Eater meditation for people unless you're like kind of really focused, because you want to have pure thoughts or clean thoughts. Not pure thoughts. You can have whatever thoughts you want, but just know that you're talking to something conscious. As far as I'm concerned, when I speak to the sun, it's conscious. Literally, like there's something happening. So be diligent with your words, be diligent with your thoughts, have true intention behind it, be very respectful of those, because it's going to give that to you in abundance. So that's why Sun Eater meditation is another form. So I use a whole spectrum of different styles. And I talk about transcendental meditation, which is the mantra. And I like that one a lot, because that's where you go really, really deep. When you got some serious stress going on in your life, like you're really you're overwhelmed. Transcendental meditation is a mantra where you just go in the mantra and you just keep beating on that mantra. And all of a sudden, all these things start bubbling out of you, all these stressors, and your mind will wander, and let them wander. And then when you realize you're wandering, go back to the mantra, because that's what you're talking about. You're releasing all that stress, all that, twisted anxiety and, depression, and, even pleasure too. Pleasure is found in that style of meditation. And it's also good to release some of that as well, because, these things, pleasure is also intoxicating, I would say. So you want to, come to balance with all those within that process. And it just gives you a sense of that relief. You're like, oh, whew, I'm good now. Okay, I can go about my day.
Yeah. So there's all different kinds of meditations and processes. That's why you're so balanced and down to earth, easy to talk to. So do you get up in the morning and like start your day off with a meditation? Is that, and then end your day with a meditation, or is it like a midday meditation, or just all throughout meditation? Or is there anything just when you're feeling you need a meditation, or what's your process?
So I have a very interesting, like I wouldn't call it a ritual per se, because I don't, but I do have a pattern that I follow. And that pattern gives me what I would call security and protection, okay, within the meditation structure here. And then what happens is what I do is, what I'm looking for in my day is I'm actually looking for serendipity. I'm looking for the things that take place in my day that are different than they happened the day before, even though my pattern is pretty much the same. I'm a human being too, right? I do the same things. I like the same foods. I like specific restaurants, right? I buy my gas at certain gas stations, right? I'm a creature of habit to a certain degree. So I use my creature of habit tendencies to my advantage. And I use them as a way to harmonize in my life. And so I have very specific things that I feel I should accomplish every single day. And by accomplishing those every day, it lets me know that I've at least done the bare minimum. where I'm not going to feel like that I failed in any sense, because I've made promises and I've kept them.
Mm-hmm.
And this gives me integrity, and this gives me trust, knowing that moving forward, I'm going to still do these type of systems, these type of things. Okay. So that, let's just get that out of the way. But what I'm looking for is I'm looking for the differences that take place within that ritual system. That those become challenges for me.
Mm-hmm.
And those become ways for me to learn new things as well, because I want to constantly grow as well. I've made it this far in life, and I'm satisfied with where I am. I'm satisfied with the things I've accomplished, but I'm satisfied, and I want to leave that satisfaction where it is. Now there's other things besides satisfaction that is now motivating me. Okay. That is things like knowledge, things like travel, things like, relationships with you and people who I care about, people I love, right? These are the things that I'm finding a value. And so now I'm bringing complexity into my ritual. So when I get a call that says, hey, you want to come over and do some yoga, then my responsibility would be to look at the calendar, make sure my ritual is not going to get in the way. And then if I have a space, then it's my responsibility to say not no, which is what I hear most people say, but my responsibility is to say yes. Yes, let's do it. Mm. And by saying yes, many doors begin to open. Mm. And now you have access to more choices. And this is where the time travel game comes in, because the time travel game is designed to give you the ability to widen your choice parameters. So that way you can choose the correct timeline, the correct world line that best suits you. And then hopefully in the local, best suits you in the local. And then hopefully with the time travel game, you are also, when you move on to the next levels, you are also now including the aggregate system. So now you're benefiting yourself because you've worked within the time travel game. And now what your job is to move to the next level in time travel game is to start benefiting other people around you. Is when the decisions you make are not only on you, they're now on other people. So here I am speaking to you in a public forum. We're having this conversation. This may become public. If you decide to do it, it's going to become public, and this will influence other people. And I will tell you, since I've put out this information, my world has changed. So I know if you've been putting out information, your world has changed. I guarantee it. You're noticing the things that you're saying, your world, the people you around you are starting to change. Now what we're doing is we're moving on to another level in the time travel game, which is personal responsibility. And then we get into things called the law of confusion, which you start to realize that other people can choose not to know. They can choose ignorance, but you start realizing it's your choices that make all the difference. You become in charge of your own direction, your own aim, your own purpose. You find your own joy in the things that you do. And so that's that. So saying yes, allowing these other systems that come into your life, all these things are coming at you. Oh, duck, watch out. Fight, flight, or freeze, right? What I suggest is that, challenge accepted. The harder the challenge, the more rewarding the treasure.
Mm. I've always heard, the fight or flight, and I've never heard freeze before, and you added that. So, I mean, what's your meaning behind that?
Well, I say it as a Trinity matrix because the words matter. And in order for you to really understand the relationships that you have with the world around you, there are aspects that have to be understood. It's not always mathematical. It's also spiritual. And when I say flight, fight, and then now there's freeze, you have moved into what I would consider to be the spiritual, the ethereal realms, because you are triangulating your position in a way that has, let me put it this way. Love. Show me love. Show me what that, point that out. What is love? Point to it. You can't. Yeah. You can't point to it. You feel it. You know it. It's inside. This is why flight, fight, or freeze. Because just like the world around us, when you see an animal, sometimes, you hear a rustle in the bushes and you make a noise, that creature will freeze. So we know this is a nature of reality. This is a nature of ourselves as well.
Yeah.
And you purposefully hide that aspect of yourself because of what it represents. So looking at that Trinity, you build a relationship with each one of those. We know how to fight, especially if you're American. If you're American, you know how to fight, okay? Flight, okay? We have been taught through our movies, through what flight means, how to grow, how to evolve. This has been a mantra of our systems and civilization is flight. But what is not fully understood is the concept of freeze. So I'll just leave it right there. Because the reason why I want to leave that alone is because I feel that maybe this will inspire people to explore what that means to them.
Mm-hmm.
Because freeze may be important for us moving into the future, where with weather and with these type of mechanisms that we're seeing, sustainable development agendas, all these kind of concepts, Antarctica. Right? All these ideas may become important to us, and maybe this will be a way to inspire others to dig deeper.
No, I believe that's why it resonated so much with me. It stood out when you said freeze. And I had to ask, because I feel like within me internally, that is something that I get to explore. And I can already see by bringing my awareness and my consciousness to it already that for me, I guess based on, how I'm taking it, rather than, the fight or the flight, if I just took some time and froze, and almost like you said, that sense of meditation and, bringing time to reflect on my options rather than fighting or rather than flighting, if I just, okay, let's freeze and I guess assess what's going on with the situation, I believe I can then make a better decision. That's how it came across to me.
Wow, I love that. Reflection. It's your birthday. That's pretty impressive. I love that. Yes, I would completely agree. It's a way to observe. It's a way to reflect, to recycle, to take it in. There's no fear. There's no guilt. There's not even really tolerance. It's just like, okay, observation. Mm-hmm. Because through observation, we can, it reveals itself, and we can have a better relationship with that revelation. And then through that, we can decide what the best option will be. So it's almost like, what I also like about freeze, just to put one fine point on it, it's almost like recognizing whatever object that's caused this, or whatever subjective or objective, whatever has caused this, it gives you that way to recognize it and say, okay, now that I recognize it, what is it? And now you have information to make what I would call a decision based on reality.
Right. I had an interesting conversation with someone this week, one of my mentors actually. I had a situation where I flew off the handle, and I had made some assumptions very quickly, and I acted on those assumptions without knowing the facts, without actually getting the other side of the story. And yeah, it was just brought to my attention that I had acted this way, and it would have been a perfect time to freeze and to really take the situation for what it was, as opposed to, in that moment, I had the flight reaction, or maybe it was the fight reaction too at the same time. And I've just, I got that feedback earlier this week, and yeah, it's just a perfect cherry on top that you brought this up, because it's a lesson that I've actually been working on. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I like your idea of what you said about fight, because like for me, when I get defensive or I get in like the fighting posture, I'm noticing that there's a reflection of myself that I'm looking at that I don't like. And so I'll start getting a little bit angry because maybe I'm not explaining it well, or maybe I start realizing that I'm in a belief system and I don't really have true facts to support my opinion. And so maybe at that point, instead of fighting, I should be asking questions. I should be probing the concept a little further and trying to get more information. So I noticed that that's for me, when I get into a fight situation, not all the time, sometimes it's self-defense, right? This is important. We need to have it. That's actually the design of it. A fight is for self-defense. But if it's like when you're fighting with somebody verbally, generally for me, it seems to be more coming from a point of my own insecurities or my own misunderstandings or belief systems that I put behind something. So this is an opportunity to actually, to dig deeper. It's kind of like, what we talked about last time, the I am and the am I. This is the point where when you start getting to the fight scenario, instead of going, I am, right, period, it becomes a question. We go inside and you go, I am. And then so I like to use those. I mean, you can use them as a weapon, you can use them as a tool or instrument, but I like to turn them around. And then what I'll do is I will inquire deeply into that. When somebody gets in those systems, I will inquire deeply into them, almost like Socrates would, right? You're just like all questions, just like, really get to the bottom of it. And then, sometimes you feel better at the end and so do they.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. In regards to questions, I've learned that, that's the way that I will build relationships with someone. The best relationships and the best friendships have come from a genuine interest in the other person and asking questions about them. And as opposed to, a time in my life where I wasn't building very good relationships, it was all about me, talk about me, and I realized how important questions are in relationships and connecting with other people. I mean, that's something that I learned.
I like that. Okay, let's talk about the me stuff.
Yeah.
There's like within time, there's systems. There's A, B, C, D, E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? There's systems. And within time as well, there is me needs to be understood before me can understand what you means. Because if you don't know who me is, then how could you understand what you or he or it or she or they, right? How do you, so you have to first find yourself. So that's the first step. Most people, generally, it's hard for them to get out of that first step because it's very reactionary in their life. There's so many things going on in their lives coming at them. They're so distracted that they don't really understand the me process. But I'm not saying everybody. I'm just saying that generally, that's just we were all there. We were all at that point, and we still are on different levels as well. This is part of how we work things. Nobody's perfect. Okay. But once you get certain aspects down of who you are, of the me, then that me kind of, it kind of loses its luster in the end, because, since it loses its luster on the me, then you start realizing what's interesting is now that you know who you are, and you're like, okay, and now you go out and go, now I want to understand who other people are. I want to see what's similar that I have to them. I want to see what they're like. That way I can kind of see myself in them. This is kind of like the next level. And then once you start seeing yourself in them, then you start going beyond that and you go, oh, now I'm going to start not seeing myself in them, because now I know what I'm like and I know what they're like. I'm going to start seeing them for what they represent, what they want to share. And this is called building relationships with people. This is called moving people from acquaintances to friends, from friends to good friends, from good friends to fierce friends, right? Like, friends that, will help you move dead bodies. Like,
yeah.
Those are the real friends, right?
Oh, yeah.
You've gone through all these stages with them. And so that's kind of the point I just want to make there is, there's a process. So get to the point where you know yourself, so that way you can share with others, because I want to know what's cool about you. I want to know what's going on in your life. I want to know what makes, you inspired and motivated every day to get up and continue to do what you do, right? These things become important to me, because then that helps me judge my life and my direction and things that I should consider to be worthy of my time, so I can fine tune my participation with everybody else out there, because I care about what they do. I care about what happens to them. I care about their families, because what happens to them happens to me.
Right. I mean, I guess I realized that someone that doesn't know themselves, or maybe even, worse off, someone that's drowning in their current situation, you can't help other people. You can't assist other people when you're drowning yourself. You're just going to pull them down. Once you get yourself, I guess establish a good sense of self-worth, and you feel good within yourself, at that point you're then reaching out and connecting with others in an effort to maybe assist them with their self-worth, or to build them up, or to just, like you said, just share with them. But until we get to that point, and we've all been there, and maybe a lot of us are still there, where we're struggling with our own circumstances, I guess it's more of the me mindset. And I think that once we establish our self-worth, it's easier to, I guess, give to others and to share with others, if that makes sense.
Oh, complete sense. Complete sense. Now let's now look at this in reverse. To share with others. Here's kind of what happened to me. At some point after I realized, after I got out of the me stuff, I realized that there's no way I would have gotten to where I was without the people around me. And it was them sharing with me. It was my mentors that brought me to this point. I was very fortunate to have extremely good mentors in my life. I thank them all the time for that. But I couldn't realize that at the time. I couldn't see it at the time because I was consumed with myself, finding myself. But when I look back on it now, I realize the mentors that I had, and because I recognize them now with that, it has brought me to a place where that's where serendipity is. That's where looking for others. Why I've gotten to where I was because others have brought me here. Okay, in my past and also in my future, because the things that they've taught me of how we connect to our future selves, how we bring in these things to ourselves, how we even know this stuff. How do we know these things are taking? How are people psychic, right? How are these things taking place? These things are real if you listen to me, and these processes happen. So it's because of the people we have around us that we're able to come to these realizations. So it's another way of us to recognize that. And we come out of the me mentality into the sharing mentality, because we say, look, I am a complex person who has had all these different people around me influence my thoughts, influence my behavior, influence my actions and my intention, and made me the person that I am today. And you know what? I'm good with that. And because I'm good with that, if there's anybody else out there who think like me, or who want to think like me, or who want to have a relationship with me, I put myself out there publicly because I have done all these things. And it's right. And so these are the things that I'm interested in. These are the things that I have done with my life. If you find those are interesting, then let's share that. Because here's what's crazy about this stuff that I share with everybody is, some people think it's voodoo woo woo, right? But because relationships, I'm able to build a harmony system. I'm able to build these processes and have a much richer, deeper experience in my life. So I have accomplished many great things from my perspective. And how selfish of it would it be for me to hold on to those things and not give back? Because all these other people gave to me. So why can't I give back to other people who want to know this stuff? If they want to know, they can find me. I don't push this upon anybody. Here's the last part. Everything that I do is by permission. So I would like other people to do that by permission, by consent. Don't force anybody to do anything they don't want to do. Don't ask them to do anything they don't want to do. Let them make their own choices. Let them make their own decisions. I personally believe that is the best course of action for all people. I don't care where you're from. So that's I kind of want to end on that, if I may. I'm sorry, I'm kind of a little bit of a rant there.
I felt that. That was perfect. No, I appreciate you, man. I do. This is a perfect way for me to start my birthday. This is, just the nuggets and the lessons, and took some notes here, and I'm gonna rewatch this video. And I mean, there's just a lot of good for me at my point in life. Everyone's in a different life situation, that this just really resonates with where I'm at. And take it one year at a time. Where I plan this next year, this is stuff that I really want to get more in tune with. And so the fact that you're so willing to share, hey, I'm willing to learn. Sign me up.
Yeah, we can put these things into practice, and we can aim. We can, what the things that you want in your life, we can build these. And a good place to start, again, is your star chart. When we pull your star chart, we can find out what influencers you have. In other words, we're going to discover what planets are in your corner. And we're going to say, okay, we want to task these particular planets that are on your side, right? They've offered you gifts and treasures and says you can use these at, how you want to use them. And so we say, okay, thank you. I want to put it into this practice. And then we can also find, the stars that are not in harmony, that are not in your corner, that are more in line with, it's not like they're foes of you, but they're the ones that are really like, saying you're going to work really hard if you want me to be a part of you. I want to see it. I don't believe it. You got to show me. And if you show me, I have all this treasure for you. And it's a lot. It's a lot of treasure, because the harder you work to prove to me, like this is what the star says. The star says, the harder you work to prove to me that you've earned this, the more I'll give you. And so those are really cool. Those are the ones that I like to look at people's star charts, because they're kind of scary. Some people, because of what it represents. Some of them are like fear of loss, family, all these kind of things that are in their chart, and they don't, they get bothered by that. Destruction, those destructive parts. But you can use that destruction as a way to build new systems. And then you can find the ones that really are kind of like, they're on the fence with you. And if they're on the fence, then, you offer them tasks, and you say, okay, what about this? What about that? You see what it is that how they want to respond. I know it sounds strange, but it's very dynamic. The system is very flexible, and it's flexible because we build cycles of time, because the way, like if you come to me, have this system where we're in a realm, and this realm is actually in harmony with with everything around us. And so all the star chart's designed to do is to bring you in tune with that harmony, to bring you in line with that. And so now you can build systems as conduits. And I suggest that you continually do it in harmony, because if you do it in harmony, now you have what I call goodness on your side. And that, to me, is the best form of utilizing these practices, because it's natural, it's analog, it's organic, it's not forced, it's not simulated, it's authentic, it's original, it's novel, it's all these things that are like, are concepts that people can really dig deep into, so to speak. And that's the Elemental Hypertech system in a nutshell.
But literally, knowledge is power. You describing all this, where I'm so just unaware of my natal charts, for example, I'm probably working way harder unfruitfully than I need to be if I just learned these concepts and learned what's working for me, what's not, how to address it, how to work with it, how to use it as a tool. So yeah, I mean, I definitely want to take the next steps on working with you as far as the Elemental Hypertech School. And anyone else out there listening to this, if what Damian's saying is resonating with you, get in touch with him. I'll put his email address below. I mean, just make sure, reach out to him, and he can get you off on the right path, because it's I think it's going to be an exciting year for me. I know that. Well, good. I won't take a lot of your time. I'm at my sister's house here in California right now. I'm actually out there in their shed here, and she has a really cool situation. She lives in a tiny house. She actually lives in an RV. She has an RV lifestyle. Her husband, he's a lineman for a power company here Northern California. And she actually has a YouTube channel herself where she, she shows what it's like to live in a tiny house, and it's really interesting. So I just want to throw that out there that, if anyone's interested or familiar with that, are you familiar with the tiny house kind of concept?
No, but I want to write it down. I want to check out her channel. I'll link it below, but it's My Textured Family is the name of her channel. And I'll link that below as well. But yeah, it's really, really cool what she is able to do. Just being here as a guest, living in a tiny house, I realize I have a lot of things to work on. If I were to live in a tiny space myself, I'm just needing to be so organized. Everything has a place, everything. She's very good at, you've got to literally pick up every crumb after yourself. Otherwise, very quickly, she has 2 little kids. It can get pretty thrashed pretty quick, but she's very good about it. And she does videos. She has a YouTube channel where she makes, tips and just shares, life hacks. And it's really entertaining. Even if someone's not interested in the tiny house situation, it's really fun to see how she does it in just a different way of life. So yeah, definitely check that out when you get some time. I will. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Okay, man. Well, yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap up. Today we went to Walmart last night and bought a whole bunch of different things, and we're gonna make video content all day. I was like, what do I want to do for my birthday? I was like, I want to make videos all day. So we're gonna get on that, and this will be the first one. So I'll get this one up today. And if you guys haven't yet, make sure you subscribe. Also, I'll put Damian's channel down below. And yeah, make sure you just click over there, get subscribed to him as well. Give the video a like. That really helps out the channel. So if there's anything you can do for us, like the video. Other than that, next week, same time.
I love that. Thank you. Appreciate it again. Happy birthday.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Next one. One love.
Love that.